Welcome back to the Mega Series, looking at the 30 athletes competing at this year's World's Strongest Man. I know you're excited for this one, Elizabeth. We're taking a look at their backstory, how we think they'll do on the events, and how we rate their overall chances. And what a backstory this guy has. We could talk for a long time, but I'm going to let Liz introduce you to the one and only living legend, Mark Felix.
Honestly, this is such a long story. I'm going to have to give you the footnotes or we will be here all day.
This is one of the few athletes that goes back to even before my time competing.
Yeah, and he's still there.
He's still going strong.
So Mark Felix, unbelievably, didn't start Strongman until he was 37 years old. And he went to his first World's Strongest Man competition in 2004. Little fun fact, that year, Alexei Novikov would have been 8 years old. The 2022 competition will be Mark's 17th appearance at World's Strongest Man. 17!
That's just crazy.
In that time, he's made the final 3 times and his best performance to date was 4th place in 2007. Mark has competed in 100 international competitions and there are only 2 men that have done more, Krzysztof Radziakowski and, unsurprisingly, Zydrunas Savickas. That's insane!
It really is. I mean, Mark has been doing this a long time now. Zydrunas has also been doing it a very long time. Probably surprising for a lot of people to know that Radziakowski has actually done more than Mark. But 100 international competitions. I thought I did a lot of competitions, but Mark is still going strong.
Mark also holds the record for the most appearances at World's Strongest Man with 16. And if he attends the 2023 competition, he will also hold the record for oldest competitor ever at World's Strongest Man. A record that's currently held by Odd Haugen, who competed in 2006, aged 56 years and 250 days.
Mark really is incredible.
He is. And I know some people say, oh, you know, letting the new guys in, and we'll address that in a minute, but Mark is an incredible human being. When we trained with him and Graham Hicks last year, how impressive is he?
I trained. You watched.
Oh, sorry. I filmed. I picked up a little Atlas stone.
You did, I remember.
But he doesn't really tire. He's so fit and so strong.
He is. I mean, Mark, probably people watching think Liz has some kind of obsession with Mark.
No, I don't.
You know, I can't even be upset. Mark is just a really, really nice guy. And you just can't say anything bad about him. He's got so much time for the fans. And, you know, I think looking at his performances over the last few years, they are starting to kind of come down a little bit, particularly on certain events. But he still has events that he's very good at. Now, I'm one of those people that I think we should be looking at the newer up-and-coming guys to go to World's Strongest Man. Guys that, you know, I personally, I've stepped back. Terry Holland's a step back now. Mark is still going strong. And you look at his international results and maybe you think there's better guys that could compete. I thought that until I saw the events. Now, I'm going to delve into these events. But my God, Mark could do well.
Yeah, he actually really could.
So let's get into them.
Okay, let's play my slide. Here we go then, Lozzie. Let's see. First off, the loading race.
So, loading, first event at World's Strongest Man. All groups doing the same events this year. We don't know the groups yet, so this is going to be a big factor. But Mark is decent at loading. He's one of those athletes very similar to myself who has placed everywhere on loading, from first to last in his group. He's competed so many times that you've got that luxury.
Got a lot of data as well.
But on a good day, he's very good at loading. He can move quickly. He's got a big wingspan, so I've spoken about that before. Awkward long objects he can cope with. massively big, strong hands that can, just cope with lifting. And he's got experience. I don't believe Mark's going to be... Mark did used to suffer with a bit of nerves.
He did. He used to be very clumsy, but in the last couple of years,
he just seems more laid back and like he's just enjoying Strongman. Certainly competing at Worlds is not going to faze him in the slightest. So first event at Worlds for a lot of guys, they're very nervous, they make mistakes, they're worried. Mark will be laid back. Mark knows what he needs to do. It's not... I think Mark just enjoys competing. He's not like trying to be world's strongest man anymore. I don't think. And there was a time where it was everything. Whereas now it just seems like he just likes to compete. And that takes away that pressure. And I think if he's having a good day, he could score some decent points on loading. Like I said, he's come everywhere from first to last. Yeah. We could look through the data. There's a whole list of pages of data on Mark Felix. And because he's competed so much and he's obviously
over
such a long period of time, we can't really go on what he did in 2006. No. We've got to look at the more recent performances. His latest results on loading weren't the best, so it will be interesting to see, but he's got experience. I think he could get some decent points. I would expect I don't expect him to win the loading,
no,
but if he can come away with 3 or 4 points, I think he'd be very happy.
So next, an event that Mark was always famous for, never so much for max weight, because he kind of topped out at around 420 and stayed there. But for reps, he was always incredible. So how do we think he's going to do on the deadlift ladder?
Mark's endurance and Mark's lockout strength are incredible. Even now on a partial deadlift, he is unbelievable in terms of what he can pull. He doesn't quite have that drive off the floor to match what the real big boys are lifting now in the deadlift. But like you say, he was always incredible for reps, particularly lighter weights for reps. The lighter deadlifts, particularly like it was back in 2006, he could just rep and rep and rep. Now, one advantage I think he has at this year's World's Strongest Man is that it is a deadlift ladder.
And the grip.
Grip, and the top end isn't like beyond him.
No.
He's still more than capable of pulling 400 kilos. As you mentioned, has an incredible grip, so doesn't have to worry about straps. If he can go through this without straps, which he did at OSG, it was lighter there.
Yeah.
He may need straps for the last few,
yeah.
But I think he'll go through the first few pretty quickly. And he's capable of being fast. So could potentially be a very good event for Mark Felix. Deadlifts... There was a time he was unbeatable at deadlift at World's Strongest Man.
You were the first one to beat him in 2014.
Uncle Oz took his crown. But Mark's still going. I'm very much not. And Mark would kick my butt at the moment on the deadlift. So the younger guys need to watch out for him on the deadlift. Don't get me wrong. There is guys now that will beat Mark on a deadlift. But it's going to come down to who's in his group. And I think he's a very capable deadlifter. Could cause people a lot of problems.
The great thing about doing this for Mark is there's so much data, and we know
too
him
much
so
data.
well. Yeah, actually, too much. To
I'm not even kind of going as deep into the data with Mark because I know him so well.
Yeah.
And like I said, we can't go on what he was doing in 2006.
No, it has to be recent. But he's so experienced. We do know how he does on these events. So next is the car walk.
Yeah, and like we say, we've got loads of data on Mark, but we can't go back on what he was doing in 2004, 5, 6, etc. We look more on more recent times. His most recent performance on the car walk was very solid. He won the car walk at OSG Masters. That was 410 kilos, very quick time. And I know from personal experience going up against him, he's very capable on yoke car walk type events. So again, he could be a threat here. Now, I don't expect him to win, particularly in some groups, but he's going to pick up points. He's more than capable of putting on a solid performance. And again, I think he can do decent.
So notoriously, his worst event has always been overhead. However, 150 shouldn't be too far. I mean, he zeroed the 147 log at OSG, but maybe that was a bad day. We know he's hit 150 for reps.
Yeah, 150 is kind of getting close to the limit for Mark. He's just... He struggles on overhead events in general. Log is not his best event. He needs to really try and get a rep. Even if he can get one rep to get 1 point, it's a big difference to zeroing.
Yeah.
If you zero, you get 0 points. If he gets one rep, you might have someone else in there that only gets one rep. Suddenly you're on you're sharing points, and that makes a big difference. But this is going to be the event that will really damage Mark's chances. I do feel he's got great events at this year's competition. but zeroing an event could cost you. So for me, Mark needs to get that 150 if he wants to have a chance of making the final.
So one event I know we're all going to be excited to see Mark do, the Wrecking Ball hold, a test of grip.
Now, if you just, unless you know nothing about strongman, you don't need me telling you that Mark has an incredible grip. On his day, he can beat anyone in the world. You could really argue to say he has the best grip in the world. There is arguments to that because he has been beaten before, but he has the world record on the Giants Live Hercules hold. He's won or been top 3 in pretty much every grip event I can find on him. I know from personal experience how good his grip is, and we've just got the data. Yeah. There's videos with millions and millions of views showing us how good Mark Felix is when it comes to grip. He's got ridiculously big hands, his thumbs and his fingers just wrap around everything, and he has great endurance. So I can see Mark winning this against anyone. Absolutely anyone. I think maximum points for him, and he's putting himself into a threatening position, potentially getting in to the stone off. Mark Felix is a very competent stone lifter. He's had unbelievable performances on stones before. He's got all the tools, strong back, strong arms, massive hands, big long reach, can get round the stones. So Mark is very good. When we trained with Hicksy, he was loading that 200 kilo stone, no problem. He is an extremely good stone lifter. Last year, he got into the stone off. The problem was he was against Tom Stoltman.
Yeah.
Now, that's someone you want to avoid. So this is going to be the issue, is avoiding the superstars.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to who you're up against and what position you are going into the stones. But looking at these events,
there's a chance.
There's a chance. And the stone, like Mark's stones are very, very competent. He's a great stone lifter.
There's plenty of guys he could beat at a stone off at World's Strongest Man.
You know, there are people you want to avoid.
Yeah.
But then you come outside those top few, and I think he's got a chance against anyone.
Yeah. No, I agree. Right, so let's get into it then. How do we rate Mark's chances this year?
Well, I'm going to be totally honest here. When I saw Mark Felix was going to Worlds, before I knew events, before I knew groups, etc., I don't know the groups still, but events, I thought Mark would struggle. Looking on his recent performances at high-level shows, he's not done that well. Britain's Strongest Man, I think he placed 7th or 8th. I can't remember off the top of my head. You know, he hasn't done that well in any major comps. Obviously, he's got the Hercules hold where he picks up points on. But his overall performance has kind of started to waver a little bit. But he has those odd days where he's exceptionally good all of a sudden. I remember the Arnold's UK last year. Suddenly we're like, whoa, Mark's back. Yeah. And he just has these days where he's very, very good. Now, this set of events
could be a good day for Mark Felix.
If he comes in shape, you know, the issue for Mark is the log.
Yeah.
If he zeroing at this level, even though it's only 6 points, it could cost you. Yeah. Because he's going to need to be so good at all the other events. Yeah. And like I said, he's capable on the deadlift, but he's still beatable on the deadlift.
Yeah, and he's not going to be anything like a seed. He's going to have a stacked group.
He's going to have 2 exceptional guys that we know in his
three
group.
Exceptional
That's
guys.
the reality. But car walk, he can score big points on. Deadlift, he can score big points on. Loading, he can score points on. The grip hold, he can take max points on. So that's 4 events he can pick up some decent points on. He has a chance. I know he's my fellow countryman and we love Mark and we're trying to big him up because who doesn't want to see a 56-year-old guy get to the final? You know, and I'm someone that says we've got to be pushing for the new guys. But when you look at the events, Mark is capable. I think my gut tells me
he probably doesn't.
He probably doesn't.
No.
But I think he's in with a chance. And that's all we need. We need to know he's in with a chance.
Glimmer of hope.
I know Liz will be going nuts. I'll be going nuts if he makes the final.
Oh, can you imagine? Bless him.
I don't feel if he gets to the final, he's going to be a threat to any of the major guys. But to get to the final at 56 years old,
which would be a new record.
A new record.
He holds that record
on his 17th attempt. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe by the 20th attempt, Mark Felix could be the world's strongest man.
Right, good. I think we managed to keep that under half an hour long, so that's good. If you've enjoyed this series so far, please do not forget to let us know in the comments. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're telling all of your friends, and come back because we've still got loads of big names and lots of episodes to go before the 2022 World's Strongest Man.